Well, how about that for timing? That's right, BMR running all over the place today. I'm under the weather, so if I have to excuse myself from the show, you don't want to see me coughing, blowing my nose. Yeah, I got something. I got the bug. I got the chills. I was so weak today that if you notice, I'm not sporting my pirate gear. Arr! I didn't have the time. I didn't have the strength to tie my bandana. Yes, that's right. I don't want no pity. It's not a pity pot because I've said once over and over again, the show always goes on. But I have two great co-hosts. And I guess Brent Thomas I can kind of call a co-host because it's about the third time in a row he's been on with me and Tex. We've got a cool show in store for you. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube, Texas Front Porch on YouTube, Brent's The Paranormal Portal found on YouTube, the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube, Donnie Joe Says Stuff, Paranormal Paul as well. Turn on the alert bells. I don't give out the times, the dates, or anything like that. We're all over social media. The alert bell is key. Turn it on. You won't miss a single show. Thank you ever so much for that. And thanks for coming in this afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. I got to thank everybody. That's right. Christmas time is coming. And as most of you know by now, I have two books out on the market, both found on Amazon. Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1. And Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 2. Type Bigfoot Michigan Rob in your Amazon browser. Leave a review if you purchased the book. Thank you so much. You can find us on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, wherever podcasts are found. So, again, I do appreciate that. If you like what we do around here, the Super Chat's open. The Super Chat's a great way to help support what we all do 7 days a week. You can become a BMR pirate. Join today. Join the many. Join the few, depending on your point of view. Despite BMR not putting on his pirate headgear today, because you know my Detroit Lions play the Packers tonight, Thursday night football. Huge game. The 11-1 Lions against the 9-2 Packers. And yes, I know that Brent's going to talk about the skullduggery going on in Minnesota, who are right on our heels as well. It's a tight race, big game tonight. Lions are missing all of their starters on defense because they've gotten hit with injuries. I know you guys need to come on and hear me talking about sports, but you know I'm kind of implementing sports into every show I do because BMR has got something up his sleeve coming in January. I'll leave it at that. From Texas, from the porch, there he is staring down at his phone.
Hey.
I'll let you continue on what you're doing. I'll bring up my other buddy, my other co-host, Brent, from the Paranormal Portal. He's taking a deep breath, and here he is. I put him to sleep with the sports talk already.
Skull Vikings. Let's just say that right now.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, Brent, you got a great team. I'm scared of your team. We play the Vikings the last game of the season, Brent.
Oh, yeah.
The regular season. That could be a deciding factor moving forward towards the Super Bowl.
It could be. I tell you what, I the Vikings have broke my heart way too many times through the years, and I'm always pessimistically optimistic.
Hey, listen, you guys have been better than the Lions, though. I mean, my team, this is our second year, 2.5 seasons of good football, finally. And I've been waiting ever since the age of 8 or 9, whenever my dad first introduced me to the team and sports in general. So I'm very excited. I mean, I'm on cloud 9 with this team because that's my favorite team. Despite going to the University of Michigan, I still put the Lions just a tick ahead of the Wolverines because the Lions are my team. Most Detroit sports teams are mine, but yes, I'm excited. It's gonna be a great showing tonight. Hopefully, a good game. And Texas got the well, those damn Cowboys. They're Tex. I'm not going to rub it in because you have some rebuilding to do, and I kind of do like the Cowboys anyways. So I really can't say nothing bad, despite we blew them out earlier, 52-14. But then who's talking, right?
Who's counting?
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
I know you're down and out with that a little bit.
Cowboys are not going to be what they used to be until we get rid of Jerry Jones.
Well, Jera, good old Jera, as they say down south, is Jera. Yeah, you can't be the owner, the GM. Jerry Jones has his own talk show, talks about his team. I mean, what owner does that today?
A
You
little
know.
bit of
You
ego.
show
involved.
me an owner that is and that is the face of the team on any other team. I bet you couldn't I would be surprised if you make a name an owner of another team.
Imagine the owner's photo of the Packers then.
Well, yeah, they don't have an owner, right, Brent? It's kind of
Right.
owned by the community.
Yeah, that'd be a hell of a big shot.
I still don't know how that works. Do you pay extra to be to go to Packer games to fund the stadium?
I don't know how it works, to be honest with you, but I know it's a community-owned team. It's the only one left. I think they all started that way, but then private ownership started, but Green Bay held on to it. So I got to give them a lot of props. It's still, I've never seen more ravenous fans than Packer fans, and I was married to one at one time. And man, it's like a religion. It really is.
Yeah, cheeseheads are, they're a different breed.
Yeah.
I do want to visit Lambeau Field, though. I lived in northern Chicago, or Illinois, I should say, for a little while, and I never quite made it to Lambeau Field because it was just a short 90-day contracting job I had back when I was younger, a lot younger. Never quite made it, but that is a stadium that I do. It's one of those stadiums, the frozen tundra of Lambeau. I'd like to go there. Not in the winter, though, man. I don't know if I could handle that.
It was always hilarious when you watch the old games back in the 70s and even the 80s when you'd get these teams from like the Miami Dolphins coming up and playing during a blizzard.
Oh boy.
They were definitely out of their element, but the Vikings were just out there, and the Packers and the Lions. It was just like, another day.
You remember, Brent, back in the day, Tex knows this, we were known as the black and blue division.
Oh yeah.
It was the Vikings, the Packers, the Lions.
Yeah, the purple people eaters.
The Chicago Bears, the purple. Yeah, they had a lot of great. Brent. Now that I'm thinking about this, Brent, shame on you. You've had great teams. I've only had Barry Sanders, Kelvin Johnson.
Yeah, but the problem is even with those amazing lineups through the years, and they should have gone all the way, and they did go to the big show several times, but they just couldn't clinch it. It was just like,
and you remember the collapse that you had.
Yeah.
I don't want to bring that up. That's
No.
almost as bad as Billy Buckner in the World Series.
Yeah.
When he got death threats for missing that baseball right down the first base line through his legs. He was public enemy number one. He had to move out of Boston because of that.
Speaking of Boston, I got the Bruins on today.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're a Bruin fan then, eh?
Not really. No, I
cool jersey or someone
gave
it to you.
Yeah, someone gave it to me. I was I was in a lot of bands, and the story goes, it's not probably related to anything about the show, but I'll tell the story anyway.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So I had an emergency appendectomy, and I had my appendix taken out, like a big incision, not just the little holes. They had to cut me wide open and get it out of there. But it was literally a week after that surgery that we had a live show. And I couldn't have any cloth touching the incision point, because it was just miserable. And of course, I was a singer as well as a guitar. And, so but I did the show. But this shirt was the only thing I could wear that was owned by a friend of mine that didn't hurt to be laying against that incision. So that's how I got it.
Well, it's one way to get it. And that's and you look very, yeah, you look good in it. I don't have a Red Wings jersey, and the
Oh.
Red Wings, man, we're on the Iserman program. I don't know about that team either. And our Pistons,
Yeah.
you might as well, they're a minor league team.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and bow out
Uh-oh.
and go over to my show and do a Bigfoot or Dogman show, and y'all can talk shit.
Oh God, yeah.
I think we're being chastised, Rob.
Yeah, well, well, considering I'm under the weather, but you had to start the show. You can't go. I always tell people I'm not diving right into paranormal and cryptids, although I have a cool story to talk to you guys about, and you guys can, of course, chime in. Well, you know how this show runs. Hello to everybody for coming in the chat and watching across the world and watching the replays. But before I get into that, it would just not be right if I didn't promote something else. And Tex knows what that is right quick. The girls are better than I am, but we got something coming up, Tex. And Brett is going to be there as well. We've got the Crossing Realms Conference, UFOs, Paranormal, and Cryptids, September 19th and 20th. That is going on in Richmond, Missouri. We've got a full lineup. First of all the Porch Crew, Tex, Daniel Diva, BMR, Blondes, The Booze, Brent. Well, first of all, Donnie Cho, a couple others are going to be there, and we got a great lineup of guest speakers that cover UFOs and cryptids and the paranormal. So that's going to be a good time. And I got the link for this on Eventbrite. For all the details is posted in my YouTube profile. We'll be marketing this at nauseum like we do for the next 10 months.
Is that really a term you want to use about talking about our conference?
What do you mean talking about our conference?
When you're talking about at nauseum, I mean, come on.
At nauseum,
a better thing to say?
We're going to be talking about it like every time we're on for the next 10 months.
Yeah,
which
but
is kind of ad nauseum.
Put in people's minds that the word nauseum with our conference.
But that's a broad term. You can, I guess, it depends on how you process the term, I guess. But I will put that down in my notes. Nauseum. Find better synonym. I will do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got that going on. A lot of great guests. I'm not gonna go on with the guests. They're very because I'm not prepared to do that right now. I gotta get the full list of Krista.
Well, I'll
Ron
tell you
Murphy, Heather Mosier, Greg Ogles, William Lunsford off the top of my head.
I tell you what, I'm really excited for this, and I'm also excited. And Paul doesn't know this yet, but I'm going to be sleeping on his couch. I'll be curled up. No, I don't. I'm just kidding. But
well, Brent, that we're also doing a ghost hunt Saturday night, and I might spend one night. I might spend one night in the ghost museum.
Really nice.
Yeah, I might spend the night there. I don't know.
Well, if you need company, let me know. I'm all for investigating. I love that stuff, and I'm going to be there as well. But
yes, you are, and some other keynotes. Ken Gerhard's going to be there. We're sponsored by Monster Quest, Doug Hijack. Sponsored by TEX. A couple people I'm forgetting. Again, I got to write this stuff down. And TEX, I know doesn't know either.
Rob, you're pulling the TEX doing the promotion thing. You're supposed to be good at this.
But I am good at this. But I'm going to give myself a break. I'm under the weather. We've been adding people at nauseam.
Well, hello from Italy. Good grief.
Good grief.
Someone from Italy.
Yeah. Dario.
Where's that at? That's cool. Good to see you. Put up his name if you can, Tex. An Italian person?
Well, awesome. They're from Italy, so.
Yeah, well. Or maybe they're a transplant from Michigan. Dario. Hello, Dario. Very nice.
You know what? And she said she said hi in here, but I don't see her anywhere. I'm looking. I reconnected with a dear friend of mine today, and I don't see her in here. Of course, I don't know what. I see some new people in here that I haven't seen.
Yeah, me too. It was
So
kind
congratulations on that, Rob. Y'all don't
of
forget,
cool.
if
Thanks.
if you like this show, you're gonna love Texas Front Porch and Paranormal Portal.
Yes.
Shameless plugs. We're
Yes.
here as
Yes.
parasites as well as co-hosts.
That's
Yes.
it. That's it. Hey,
Parasites
if you
indeed.
think Rob would do any less on your show,
I
let me
would
break it down.
plug
Let me
the
break this
crap.
down for you.
If I was ever on Brent's show, yes, go ahead, Tex. You can throw me under the bus here. I would plug the hell out of myself on the Paranormal Portal.
Well, I was just thinking about that, Rob. Actually, I'd like to have you come and do a live show with me.
Well, I'm there.
Okay.
I'll be there. We'll get together on the dates.
All right. Saturday? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I could do a Saturday only because my Saturday show that I do that don't sound right, is on at midnight. And I think you're on Saturday right before me, so I could do both.
Sure.
I have nothing else to do. I'm behind the mic 24/7 half the time.
Well, perfect. Yeah, I think we could do that.
Yeah, we'll work something out, my man.
All right. I'd have Tex on, but every time I'm doing shows, he's on the clock. So I can't line that up.
Tex has those weird hours.
Yeah, he does.
He's got crappy hours.
Well, it's not conducive for the portal anyway, but maybe he likes those hours.
I don't think he does.
Oh, okay.
He's getting used to it, though, I think. But,
it's a living.
So for those of you new coming in,
Yeah.
So, yes, for everyone for coming in, we do talk about weird stuff. We don't banter on about really nothing like we've just done for the first 19 minutes. But the advertising is important. Subscribe to Brent, Paranormal Portal, Texas Front Porch, BMR. Thanks for the new people. And if I missed you in the chat room, hello to one and all. Hello to one and all.
Well, it's gotten to where, and this is a good thing. Don't get me wrong, Rob.
Yeah.
And I was looking at, I was brought your channel up a while ago.
Oh,
I shared
thank
it
you.
with somebody.
Well, thank you, Tex. It's the first time you've been on my channel outside of being a host. Thank you.
And I realized that you're knocking on the door of 5,000 subscribers.
Oh boy, yeah, wow, yeah, I'm about $120 away.
Good job.
If I could get it on Christmas Day, when I wake up Christmas Day with 5,000, that will make my end of the year. I think it's kind of.
I want to say congratulations.
Well, thank you, man.
And I'm proud of you, brother. I really am.
Well, I appreciate that, and
you came a long way from. Hey, I'm thinking about doing a sports show with my brother.
Yeah, that's how it all started. I called Tex. I knew Tex prior to us getting together for podcasting and such, and because I seen him on some other shows, and I called Tex to do a sports show, and a week later we're doing a Bigfoot show.
Now, you look here in Project Dark Timber with host Danielle Stedman. If y'all don't recognize that name, on my community page, I dropped a link to an interview that was the first time that I shared my Dogman encounter publicly. Was on Danielle's show, Dogman Diaries, back 8 years ago. And we lost touch with each other. And we just got back in touch today.
Oh, very cool.
And we spent about 2 hours on the phone. I think it was. I don't even know. I mean, but it was so weird because we were really tight, and it's like we never missed a beat. We spent about 5 minutes catching up. Hey, great to see you, blah, blah, blah. And then right back where we started.
Those are the greatest friendships, though. The ones where you just, and I have several friends like that where we won't talk for months or years. But once we do talk, it's just like you pick up right where we left off. And those are my favorite because I suck at staying in touch with anybody. And then it's probably a personal feeling, but I always appreciate the genuine people that, like, wherever you meet up again, it's just like you didn't miss a beat. That's awesome.
Yeah, and she is,
That is great.
she's a pretty awesome chick. She really is. She actually inspired the way that I do my show, the way I configured my channel, because she gave people a non-judgmental, safe platform to talk about their encounters. And she also offered a support system. If you were traumatized or whatever, or having a hard time with your encounters, she would take the time to sit down and talk to you. She would, honestly, that's how I ended up connecting so many dots with, from my encounter is talking to her, and figured out that this critter was probably in the area a lot longer than I thought he was.
Oh,
But yeah, she's I am trying my best to talk her into getting back in the game.
that's awesome.
But anyway, a big shout out, Danielle. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And even it was just mentioned, it's great to have those friendships. And Brent mentioned it, where you pick up where you left off.
Yep.
I know we've all experienced that throughout our lives, and man, that's just, it's like, yeah, you haven't talked to somebody in 10 years and you sit down, like, you didn't miss a beat. Those are,
Yep.
That's when you know you have a true friend. Thank you to Keith for donating 5 pirate memberships to BMR. Thank you so much for that, Keith. And I did answer your email, Keith, from earlier in the day. So, yeah. So it's always great to make these acquaintances when we get back with people from the past and moving forward with future friends. And like I say, Tex, thanks for the accolades earlier. Without you, man, I wouldn't have I guess the mild success that I've had without you, because you taught me quite a bit during the years, and I appreciate it. So thank you so much, bro. So, and Chris, I apologize for screwing up the conference marketing earlier. She's in the chat room. Yeah, I flubbed it. Don't bother to watch the replay unless you're in here at the start. So, yes, everybody that is new here, we do talk about more than just, wild banter. I got a story I'm going to run by you guys, and I want to get your opinion. Now, we've all heard of shapeshifters. Tex and I have talked about this ad nauseum. Same with the Blondes and the Booze and all of our other friends. Oh, Monica Rollins, I didn't plug her earlier. Our Paranormal World. That's the one I was missing.
Where I'm making an appearance tonight.
Brent will be on with her tonight. That's correct.
Just a double plug there.
Double plug, Monica and Brent. Brent, you're almost like I dream. Every time I look up, I see Brent now, which is awesome. And I like that. It's awesome. Thank you.
I'm spreading like a rash. That's all I can say.
Yeah. And Brent Thomas does have a great channel, so check him out once again. So, anyways, all the plugging, all the marketing's done. Crossing Realms Conference. I guess Tex threw that up again. Very nice, Tex. Shapeshifters. Okay. Me and Tex have talked about this. Brent, your opinion. I'm going to get out with the story, though. I think that we've come to the conclusion that we think they exist.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there are certain shape-shifting entities that turn from maybe a human to an animal or vice versa. But when it comes to like wolves and these werewolves, I mean, for a person to turn into a werewolf, Brent and everyone listening, and of course Tex, it's got to do a lot of harm on the body. You're tearing up your muscular structure, your physiology. I don't see, you would kill the human shell, right? I mean, it's not possible, scientifically speaking. I believe that if the human shapeshifts, though, into a werewolf, or it could be a coyote, anything, I
Sure.
think they stay. I think that's it. They're transformed from whatever spell that was cast on them, wherever they picked up this mysterious black magic or art from, if you want to go that route. I think they don't come back to a human. I don't think it's possible.
Mm. What if?
But
Oh,
yeah, go ahead. No,
Well, I was
go
going
ahead.
to say, what if you consider that the shape shifting is more of a glamour? You know, in the Fae, we hear a lot about glamour, that they can make perceptions for people to interpret, whereas the shape was always the same. And a lot of people speculate that if there are aliens living among us, and of course there's a lot of people that believe that that's a real possibility, then they can approximate human appearance as well. But maybe it's more of an energetic thing rather than actually a physical transformation, that they're able to influence the perceptions of people around them. And so when the transformation happens, it's not actually a physical, because you're right. I mean, like when you watch the Hulk movies, it's like, yeah, well, that's great, but I think he'd probably be in a coma or worse if that was actually a physical transformation, because it would be shreds. But maybe it appears like a transformation, but it was never really there.
Here's the thing. I know Tex has a take on this. My take is you're right. This is why I love this subject. All this phenomena, right?
Mhm.
What I just mentioned was just one thing, and I believe what you just said. I believe it happens. Like the glamour thing. You know, Tex talks about this ad nauseum all the time. You know, you're out in the field, you see a Bigfoot, a dog man. What if that's not really what you're seeing at all? Maybe it's
Right.
something projecting itself for you because that's what you want to believe it to be, right? And I can see that it's more of a supernatural or paranormal shift when it's
Mhm.
not a human being transforming into a creature at all,
Right.
as you just said, right, Tex? It's
Yeah.
you kind of believe you. That's kind of your thoughts, I think. Not to put words in your mouth.
Well, no, you pretty much said everything that I usually say. uh,
Well, I've known him for 8 years, everybody. I kind of know what he's going to say, and vice versa.
Sure.
um, no, I think not only the physical thing was the transformation, but the sheer pain that would be involved, I think, would drive the person mad.
Right.
Even if they did come back, I don't think they would. I don't think they could exist in society, because it would just, like I said, drive them mad to, I think, a certain extent, where they would be so psychotic that they would be institutionalized or in jail or something.
Mhm.
Well, and if that's the case, and they transform again while they're in captivity or whatever you want to call it, that blow the lid off of that. So I don't know. I just don't see that. And I said this before. Maybe if it took a very, very, very long time, because we see in the animal world, and even with us, that we adapt and make changes, sometimes to our body.
Mhm.
Um, if you look at the folks from Nepal, the Sherpers, they process oxygen better than we do. They heat up the air better than we do, because they're configured to do that, because they have Neanderthal blood, DNA.
Mm.
And so maybe it's a possibility, if that became an adaptation, that word,
Adaptation.
over the course of a very, very long time, in a
Mm.
slow process. But it would take years and years and years for that to happen, I would think.
Sure.
You know,
Well, a
and I
lot
don't
of
think,
this. Go ahead.
and maybe that's what's happening. Maybe they roam around. Maybe they do change and they roam around for years and years and years. Maybe that's part of the missing 411.
Mm. A lot of the transformations imply either gaining or losing mass, and that's the part that I think really
Yeah.
throws a wrench in it actually being a physical transformation, because where's the mass just suddenly coming from? And I realize that all matter in its most fundamental form is energy,
Right.
so maybe there's a hack to that that isn't known to us currently, that you can just draw forth more of that energy and make it mass. I don't know. I mean, it's just all wild speculation. But the thing with transformation or shapeshifters is, oftentimes when people hear shapeshifter, they go, oh, skinwalker. Well, that's just one example. The whole shape-shifting thing has been a part of shamanic traditions around the world forever. These medicine men that can transform into, different creatures at will. And, it's again, we're on the outside looking in, trying to make sense of it. And maybe it's just not possible with our level of understanding, but it is curious. But it's not just skinwalkers, it's shamanic traditions, it's the different types of creatures like the fae are famous for transforming extraterrestrials, as I mentioned, and so on and so forth. So it's the mechanics of it are a real conundrum, obviously, but it's certainly nothing new to it didn't just come about with the understanding of skinwalkers. It's been a part of traditions globally of people that could transform.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm going to get on with the story then, and give me your take, because what you said, Brent, and Tex, what you said, it kind of has a lot of similar traits. And I often don't do this, but this is so weird. And I don't believe in coincidences. So Nellie Turner, a friend of mine, she happens to be in the chat room. Hi, Nellie. And
Yeah.
it just so happens that I'm sporting a paranormal roundtable.
Ooh.
That's right, gear. I'm sporting the gear as she just happens to show up, and she comes in when she can. So thanks, Nellie. That's weird. I got your logo on, you and Josh, PRT. So I thought that was kind of interesting how that just kind of how things happen. But I'm going to get into this. I got this email some time ago, and this is about this guy, Stephen and Ethan. And this took place in and these guys live outside of the Shindagan National Park, and this is in upstate New York. That they both were in the Ithaca, New York school district, I do believe, and they grew up together. They met each other, and they were school buddies through grade school. And the weird thing about this now is Ethan was telling me that he always found Stephen to be a little odd. And Ethan himself was kind of a loner. And Ethan felt out of place himself and didn't have a lot of friends. But this Stephen, even parents, during grade school, they really didn't want their children playing with this Stephen. He was just an odd sort. Didn't really get much into the email about why he was an odd kid, but you can probably figure it out as I continue on. But Stephen and Ethan were very great buddies, and in the school district together, they were friends. They were Mutt and Jeff, oil and water, right? So they lived in relatively a close proximity to each other, and they would in turn spend the night at each other's houses. And they lived in an area which was the Shenandoah National Forest was in the background. So they lived in a wooded area, a forest area. And they're out one night, and the thing that Ethan found odd about Stephen is whenever he was at Stephen's house, Brent and everyone listening, is that the forest animals, the smaller rodents, right, of the forest would come up to these guys, but they were more surrounding Stephen. It was like squirrels, rabbits, other smaller, again, rodents. And Stephen was almost like talking to them. He told his friend, Ethan, he could speak to them. Now, Ethan was saying, well, what are they telling you, this and that? He goes, I don't know. It's like a weird telecommunication, and he's getting these verbiage in his brain. Everybody, I'm sick today. I got to wet my whistle. So anyway, Ethan thinks Steven's just pulling his leg. Oh, this is why everyone thinks he's odd, this, that, and the other, because who makes up stories like this? He's talking to the animals. And this is around the 4th or 5th grade, Brent and everyone out there. So maybe around the 7th grade, again, they're still friends. And then smaller or bigger animals came by, deer, smaller wolves and foxes. They would gather around these two boys, but they were always more interested in Stephen. And Stephen is once again telling his buddy Ethan, they're speaking to me. And as time went on, and Ethan kept asking Stephen, what are they saying? What are they saying? And he never really told him what they were saying until one day he said, look, the animals were telling Stephen that Ethan is going to soon be in danger, and he should never go into the Shenandoah National Forest alone, if at all. So this is the communication from all of these forest animals communicating this to Stephen, who now is telling Ethan what's going on. So Ethan kind of, now we see, man, now I got to tell you, you've been telling me this for several years now, and I don't get it. I think that maybe everyone's right about you. You know, this is why the parents don't want you hanging out with their kids. So Ethan goes home and tells his mom and dad the story of Ethan, communications with these animals, and how, look, he's never to venture off into the forest by himself or at all. Hi, Candy. I saw you. Hello to everybody out there, if I missed you. So his dad said, that's it. And he kind of puts down the ultimatum. He tells his son, Ethan, you're no longer allowed to speak with Stephen. I don't want you guys to be friends, this, that, or the other. Stephen, Ethan's kind of, well, Dad, come on. So his dad was so adamant and kind of scared everybody that his mom and dad took him out of the Ithaca school district just to be away from this kid. Now, the kid lived several miles up, but you know how that goes. When you move, you don't really keep in touch with your high school or your grade school friends. I know I didn't. So they move away. They don't see each other for now. Time goes on. Ethan graduates from high school. Ethan tells me that his dad woke up one day on the day of his graduation, upon graduating high school. Ethan's dad, now he hasn't seen his buddy, the odd Steven, hasn't seen him in 7-8 years, whatever it was, 18-year older. He takes him in the garage and he presents his son for graduation a Jeep, a Chrysler Jeep or whatever. Back, I think this story takes place in right around 2015. So a nice car. And he gave him his first cell phone, which I found to be odd because his mom and dad did not allow him to have cell phones, a car, or drive until he turned 18. Then they give him a cell phone and they give him a Jeep. And his son, Ethan, is like, wow, thank you so much, Mom and Dad. I really appreciate this. And the dad says, well, I'm giving you this because, and check this out, everybody. Now, I guess, and Ethan kind of sheepishly tells me that he wasn't a very good student, poor grades, couldn't get into college. So he had to go get a laboring job or whatever, which there's nothing wrong with that. I get it. Okay. His dad says, yeah, so I hooked you up with a job and you're going to you're going to get a job as a laborer in the timber industry in the Shenandoah National Forest.
Ooh.
The place where Stephen had told him to never set foot in, especially by himself. But his dad gets him a job there, gets him his cell phone. So now Stephen, of course, not really thinking much. Ethan, excuse me, not really thinking. Remember what Stephen told him, but he's got this nice paying job right out of high school at 18 years of age. And we all know that they make a nice chunk of change in that industry. New car, new Jeep, new cell phone. Life's great. Ethan starts his job in the forest, man, starting out at the lower level job of a timber person or a logger, if you will, and is putting his time in. He's working about 3 months in the forest, Shenandoah Forest. Nothing happens. So one day, and now of course, Ethan has never experienced freedom now, right? He's got his cell phone, he's got his vehicle, and then he thought about his good buddy Steven. He kind of missed him in a way. So one day before he decided to go back home, he veered off and went to Steven's house, which again wasn't too far away. Did not even know if Steven even still lived there or anything like that. So he pulls up. Yep, here he pulls up to Steven's house. And then he noticed that the house was kind of run down. A lot of growth, a lot of overgrowth. I mean, and Steven's house was in the woods, much like Ethan's house, but the lawn wasn't cut, foliage all over. Actually, nature started taking over the house, right? With growth on the house. It kind of looked kind of almost abandoned. So Ethan gets out of his Jeep and he kind of reluctantly walks up to the back porch of his buddy Steven's house. He kind of knocks on the door. And then he's knocking for 5-6 minutes, he's saying, and says, well, yeah, I guess there's nobody here. So he decides he's getting ready to turn around, everybody. And then all of a sudden the door opens and the door's answered. And it's an older woman, like a grandmother looking woman. Hello, she says. He turns around, he goes, oh, hi, hey, I don't mean to intrude. My friend from grade school used to live here. Apparently you don't live here anymore. I'm sorry for disturbing you. She goes, no. Are you Ethan? Are you Ethan? So knows the guy's name already. And he's like kind of taken aback. Well, yeah, I'm Ethan. So she invites the older woman, the grandmotherly woman, invites Ethan into the house. She sits down, puts on a cup of tea, asks him if he would like a drink, whatever, being cordial, comes back with the tea or whatever drink he had, and they sat down. And they started talking. He says, well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if we know each other. I mean, you knew my name. She says that I'm Steven's grandmom. He goes, wow, where's his parent? Where's he at? Where's the mom? Where's the dad? This place. He didn't really want to say this place is like now what he remembered from several years ago. Well, the mom and dad
it really looks like crap. Where'd you?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you want to crush the old lady's heart, right? Yeah, what the hell are you living in, right? So, yeah, the mom and dad, they ended up getting a divorce. The father ended up disappearing, whatever. Now the lady, the mom was the grandmother, the mother. The old man, the old lady, they split up. They get a divorce. He's gone wherever he's at. But the mom, who always argued with the dad, though, as he tells me about breaking up his friendship, moving out of the school district, that was all the dad's doing. And the mother always held that axe to grind. So apparently they got a divorce. But as it turns out, his mom, Steven's mom, at a younger age, ended up having a stroke. She got dementia at an early age. And she was in a facility, a home care facility, where I guess she was being taken care of by medical staff. This is what I'm reading into this, or what he's telling me. Okay, well, what about Steven? Oh, he comes here from time to time. He knows about your job in the forest, by the way, and he looks out after you. Your friend Steven looks out after you every day doing your job in the national forest. He's like, he looks after me. What do you mean? Oh, yeah. So he's like, I don't understand what you're talking. How is he watching me? I mean, where's he at? She goes, again, he lives in the woods. He lives in the forest. All of a sudden, coming through the back door, somebody enters. The grandmother and Ethan are sitting in the kitchen or wherever they're at, having their tea, discussing, what I've been telling you guys all along here. And there's this very tall person, robust, muscular, much taller than Ethan. Long hair, beard, straggly, just dirty. But Ethan recognized it as his friend Stephen. Stephen comes forth and doesn't say anything. He extends his hand out to his friend, oversized hands. He said, Rob, his nails were like long. It looks like they haven't been cut in forever. And they were like, had a point to them and all this. A human being. He looks like a human, everybody, okay? I will say this. But he smelled. I mean, he said he smelled so bad. He just disheveled. And then this kid, Ethan, is like, I guess this guy's a wild man. He lives in a forest. Certainly looks like it. So Steven kind of motions him out back, turns around, and looks at his buddy. And now he finally speaks for the first time. He tells Ethan, do you remember how I've been telling you through all of our childhood about you were not to go to the forest? The animals told me you were in danger. He says, you're still in danger today. And Ethan's like, I've been working there 3 months. I have a great job. And he looks, he goes, you're only protected because I look over you each and every day. And if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be alive today. I'm protecting you. So Ethan is like, whoa, what's going on here? Then he says, his friend says, look, I will continue to watch over you as long as I'm around. But please think twice and consider getting a different job. As he says this, his friend Steven kind of turns around, starts running toward the tree line. Then he says he sees him from 2 legs drop to 4 legs and picks up a great deal of speed into the night, vanishes into the wood line. And then very eerily, after he vanishes, he hears this loud, boisterous howl of a wolf emanating from the tree line. So that's kind of weird, isn't it, guys? I mean, I don't know what to make of that. I'm not suggesting it's a shapeshifter. People don't really live in a forest like that. I mean, I found it to be very compelling. Yeah, Tex knows that one creeps me out. What do you guys think? I'll go with Brent first since you are the special co-host tonight.
I don't know what to make of it. So you're saying you heard this story from the guy himself?
Yeah, I talked to him. He sent me an email. We conversed. This like several months ago.
Okay. And your take is that he's being very sincere.
That's my take.
Okay.
That's my take.
I mean, it's totally possible. Again, do I understand it? No.
Hey, listen, he didn't say to me it turned into a wolf, but he did mention we dropped all 4s, then the howl.
Yeah, but I'm just curious, what is it that he's protecting him from? Is it another?
That's the thing. Oh, I had asked him that, and he was evasive on that. He says he doesn't know.
Oh,
and again, he hasn't talked to his friend. The first thing I would ask is, guys, what you just brought up, Brent. Yeah. What are you protecting me from?
Right. What
so
else
he's very eerily creepy with that.
Right.
And the reason I kind of give a credence to this story is because it didn't flow like, well, because there's a dog man waiting to eat you. He just had this vibe that he was in danger and he overlooked him. What? Maybe because Ethan throughout this time never believed that Stephen could speak with the animals, and maybe the animals thought that was offensive, and they were going to get him one day by himself. I don't know. I mean, I have thoughts. I mean, I'm just speculating here. I don't know.
Right. I mean,
but Yes,
So many questions. So many questions that linger in this story, and I'm not saying the guy's full of it. I mean, just
well, I do have good news though. He's coming on the show January 19th.
good. Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to hear, him talk in real time about this, and again, throughout the course of my show and all of our shows, we've covered stories that boggle the imagination. And are they all true? Well, maybe not, but some of them are. And if only 1% of what we cover on these shows is legitimately true, that's still incredible. That means that there's stuff going on out there that boggles our understanding of the world around us. And I don't know. I mean, could the guy have transformed? Well, it's potentially possible, I guess, if you believe in skinwalkers and you believe in the potential of shamanic traditions manifesting themselves as different creatures, then why not just some guy living out in the sticks? Clearly they lived a pretty alternative lifestyle for a reason, and clearly people were picking up on some weirdness from the Stephen guy throughout his whole life. So I mean, even on an intuitive level, people were going, this guy's not normal. There's something not normal here. And I think that speaks a lot as well. Now, could he just have had mental illness and decided he was a forest guy? Possibly. I mean, that's always a consideration, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's a cool story. I really do. I would love to talk to this guy and to pick his brain about it and hear what he's got to say. But yeah, fantastic story. Is it possible? Sure, it could be. I don't understand it, but it could be.
I'd like to know if he's still in touch with the guy.
Yeah, good point. Because I would stay in touch with this guy just till I understand.
I would absolutely. I would.
Yeah, I mean the Stephen guy. I would if I was Ethan, I would be going out of my way to be like, okay, let's drill into this and see just what's going on here.
I want to see if we can get Stephen on the show. That's what.
Have him do a shape-shifting ritual live on. That'd be that'd be viral, man. That'd be.
Could you imagine? Yeah,
I can't imagine. That's the thing movies are made of, But
and even if you were able to talk a real a person that could shapeshift to come on your show and demonstrating it, there'd still be people going, "Oh, did you catch that BS? I can't believe it. I'll never get that time back." So
how did Rob figure out CGI during a live stream? My Lord, he's a genius.
Man, this AI is really screwing things up.
AI is really taking us to places we don't want to be.
Yeah, it's that's the sad part of it, is if you do show people the incredible, as long as it's on this medium, even if it's in their face, they're gonna be like, "Hey, where's the strings? Where'd the other guy go?" I mean, it doesn't matter. There's people that just won't believe no matter what you do. But
here's the thing too, like Brett, you kind of alluded to, texted in a fashion. The Ethan guy, I would definitely be in touch with Steven, because let me tell you guys honestly, if you had a childhood friend, you became a logger, and throughout your grade school, your friend would tell you that the animals are telling me that you should not go in this forest.
Yeah.
You don't see him for 7 years, however long it was between grade school and high school. And then you get a job in forestry or in that industry in the exact place you're not supposed to go to, allegedly, by what your friend is allegedly telling you via talking with the animals, which I do think people do, by the way. I think that's legit. However, though, I would be contacting this Steven each and every day, because I would be a little creeped out if my buddy is telling me he's protecting him. I'd want to know protecting me from what, like you said, Brent.
Yeah.
And I would want him in my back pocket, because I think I would be looking over my shoulder every day I went to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, protects. I don't know.
I don't know. If he's a logger, he's carrying a chainsaw, and I can't think of a better weapon to carry with you.
Okay, but what if it's not even a flesh and blood thing that we're talking here? Don't matter.
But I playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah, please.
It's very possible the kid had mental issues from the word get-go. He didn't have a stable environment, obviously, in the house. It's possible he just went feral, because people do that.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't think
He
it's
goes
impossible
feral,
this kid
becomes
is
a
one of
hermit,
the woods.
lives
Yeah.
in the woods, you know.
Yep. I think. Oh, go ahead.
Or he was partially transitioned when he was talking to him in the house.
Yeah, maybe he's in a halfway point there.
Mm-hmm.
Like he caught Ethan's scent and came in and transformed enough to look like a people, but not completely. So,
You know, yeah, I agree with that, Tex. And I also think, really briefly, Tex, I think there are, you know, when you hear wild man, every time I hear wild man, you guys, I don't think Bigfoot. I think that human beings, I think a lot of them adapt and live in the woods. Maybe not today so much, but I think way back when, in earlier times, that there were a lot of people lived right in the forest and lived off the land.
Absolutely. I think one of the giveaways for me that brought up the whole feral person thing with me was the comment about the smell.
Okay.
Because even wild animals, they don't have just a nasty smell. Humans do. When they do not bathe and they don't take care of themselves, they smell. Okay.
Right.
We know this. If you've ever met Rob, you'll understand. Now, so
yes, of course. I still make my own soap, by the way. Yeah.
But that's what kind of leads me down the feral person path with this guy. Yeah. You know, because of that one comment, really.
And I think, though, I think you agree. I mean, I think if you literally live in the woods, I think you can adapt to running on all fours. And I think you could probably train your vocals to give off a sound of a wolf or a bear or whatever.
Yep. You know, there are First Nation shamanic traditions that require people trying to learn shamanism to go and live ferally in the woods for years. Like I understand that it happens still in the Pacific Northwest, in some of the tribes up here. And I guess if you saw one of them, it would be like, what you would imagine this guy looking like, So, it's certainly possible that he was just a feral living humanoid, or at least mostly feral, but it's also possible that he was something else. So,
yeah,
I'm going to side with the whole feral person thing.
I think I'm going to side with that. I'm not going to say this is a shapeshifter. Certainly not a dog man or a werewolf.
Yeah,
I think it was certainly not friendship, and certainly something that I conceive as happening. And we hear stories every day from people, right? And we all do know this. When people tell you something from memory or what they perceive, as we said earlier, sometimes the things we perceive or see isn't actual reality.
Right. Well, I know, when I say wild animals out in the wild usually don't smell. They smell different. They have their own smell.
No,
goats smell horrible.
Okay,
goats smell horrible all the time.
Yeah.
Bears have a bad scent, but it's not. They smell like that all the time. I mean, it's just that animal smells like. If a human, I don't know, it's just different.
we get pretty ripe.
Yeah. I mean, even when I go camping for a week, I get pretty woodsy. So
I will say this: when I owned my bar when I owned it for 13 years, right off of the freeway, you could access my place, and in the freeway was a major interchange for, the ghetto and everything. It went everywhere, and there were some people. And there was a lot of homeless people that walked the freeway. I mean, I'll tell you what. I've had some homeless people come in that you could smell them 50 feet away.
Oh yeah,
sure. I mean, it was just you could immediately smell them,
Yeah.
and you would have to politely, can I help you? How
Yeah.
did you even get here?
You have to politely hose them down before they come in.
There's a car. I do have a car wash out back.
Yeah.
Well,
let's have a
now-
quick rinse, then we'll get you something to eat.
Right.
I've heard rumors that it doesn't smell good in a jail. Just
Oh.
rumors.
I worked in corrections, and it was
Oh,
I don't know about jail. Jail would be different. There's a lot of overnights and stuff like that. But I worked corrections for about 15 years, and yeah, I mean they were very hygienic, but they had to be. That was kind of the rules. They had to clean, and not only themselves but the surroundings all the time. So
I can neither confirm nor deny that I may have experienced the smell of a drunk tank from time to time.
of course, Tex, of course. But you've never had, probably wouldn't even, never an extended stay whatsoever, though.
No. Now I'll tell you this. My back when I first met my wife, she was working in a detox unit in a homeless shelter.
Yeah.
And I'd go up there, every once in a while to go eat lunch with her. And oof.
pretty right, huh?
Oh yeah. Now especially when we was doing when we would go out to Fort Hood in middle of freaking July, and we could only shower, if we were lucky, every 3 days. But odds are you're when I was doing doing my stint in National Guard, we go out there for 2 weeks, and you were really lucky if you got one shower. And it was over 100 degrees every day, and it rained every day, and it was that old black gumbo mud. You were ripe when you got back. I remember my wife picking me up one time, and I got in a truck. She said, "No, you got to get in the back. You're about to make me sick." This is the same woman. This is the same woman that worked in the detox unit, made me sit in the back. So it was bad,
Like, she's been good for you then, in other words, right?
Right.
That's awesome. Very cool. A woman loves you if she's willing to put up with the stinky version of you.
I know when I come back on these, I go on these, go out camping for a week or whatever and come back, I have to undress on the back porch, go straight to the shower.
You don't mean the front porch.
Yeah, that's a different channel. That's his OnlyFans.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. Text, we happen across Texas OnlyFans.
Oof.
Let's not go there. That's not
not a sight you want to see. Trust me.
Yeah,
I don't know. The blue bonnets are. I don't think. Yeah, Brent doesn't know. Brent, I'll send you the picture later.
Are you sure I want that? I can't unsee that text after I've seen it.
You can't, but you need to be exposed to that like everybody else on the island of Misfit Toys. So
yeah. Well,
we're talking about shape shifting and all. How we've all kind of went at that. We talked about that a little earlier. Me and Tex had talked about this, Brent. I wonder what your take is. The shape shifting thing, okay, fine. I think it exists, but I think it's at different extremes. You mentioned the glamour. We don't, but we always talk about the human being that's the shapeshifter. Do you think that there are, whether it's paranormal, supernatural, because I do think that plays a key in this, but do you think that there are actual creatures of the forest? When I say creature, everybody, broad strokes here, whatever. Do you think that they can shift into and present themselves from a creature or an animal form into a human being?
You mean they're actually animals, but they can become
Yeah,
human?
and show
I-
themselves off. Have you ever heard of that?
Well, I mean, again, folklore is full of tales of like in Asia, Japan specifically, the fox that can turn into an old wizened man and stuff. And there's lots of examples like that of creatures, but they're almost more like considered like deities of some kind in those cultures. Like
Right.
they approximate humanness, but they can also become animal, and that seems to be more of their natural state. So, but again, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the traditional animals that we understand and know, but I think perhaps there are things in the forest that maybe, maybe they're nature spirits, but they can approximate either human or animal forms.
Like,
I can buy that. Go ahead, Tex. I was just taking.
are we talking like I mean, what are we talking about here?
What am I talking about?
Yeah.
Well,
Like
I think that
Fae, is that what you're talking about?
well, I don't know that they're Fae though. I don't know what they are. They could be I think that they may not they may exist more energetically. Again, we have these blanket terms that could cover a lot of things. So maybe people would regard them as Fae, but I don't think that they really are. I think that they're potentially some form of elevated being that maybe shares our realm and can choose to or not to be, first of all, visible, and then to also interact. But there's so many stories, even currently, of people seeing things like, what are the like fawns of the lore, which are like half goat, half kind of like the friend of that little girl on the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, whatever his name was again, I don't remember, but yeah, like a satyr or a fawn or any of these legendary creatures that would be kind of half and half. But I think there are some elevated spirits potentially or beings that can choose how we perceive them. And again, is it an actual physical thing or not? Well, I don't know. I mean, again, matter is energy, energy is matter, and so we just probably don't have enough understanding to really give a definition to it. But I think that there are maybe the best way to put them is like sentinels or guardian spirits, or and again, the term spirit isn't meant to be ghostly, it's just meant to be a consciousness, and
Right.
it can perhaps manifest or whatever. I think that all legend, and since it's another pervasive legend that really spans the globe, of these creatures that become people, that become creatures, and back and forth. I think that they aren't human in the traditional sense, but they can approximate human in order to, come through and possibly share information, share wisdom, share understanding. I don't know. Some of them take the form of teachers to people that encounter them. Like there was a guy that was hiking around Mount Fuji in Japan, and he was marveling. First of all, he saw this strange white fox, but it was large, and it was running through the forest, and he was like, wow, that's really amazing. Well, suddenly he found himself hopelessly lost on these nature trails, and he doesn't think he was where he should have been anyway. Like suddenly he was somewhere else, but he just kind of kept plodding along looking for his path back, and came across this old, like ancient looking man in a white robe, white hair, Japanese or Asian, and long beard, and was just sitting there, and suddenly engaged with the guy, and was talking to him, and eventually said, well, I'll bet you if you go down that path, you'll get to where you need to be. And the guy's like, yeah, but I've been down that path. I don't, but no, go that way. And so he did. He turned and he looked and started walking on the path, and looked back, and there was the fox again sitting there. And so this was a strange transformation that he experienced. And sure enough, he went down this path, and he found his way out. Now, I don't know if that was maybe perhaps some kind of a dimensional shift. And again, if we live in a multiverse, we can't account for what are the laws in these other multiverses that we may be able to encounter. I mean, anything is possible. So I think in a lot of these cases, people are probably traversing some anomaly and they're not really aware of it, but then they encounter this weird stuff and perhaps then find their way back out, because the guy was familiar with these paths, but suddenly was just hopelessly lost. Like it looked the same kind of nature, but it just didn't have the same layout that he was so familiar with. And that's when he encountered both the fox and then this old man and then the fox again. So I don't know.
Let me ask you guys. You had to excuse me. I had to go blow my nose and cough. We've all heard about mind speak, whether you believe or not. I have a lot of great friends that claim they do.
Mm-hmm.
A lady says she spoke with my Bigfoot, which I kind of give some credence to. I'm not going to get into that. She told me things that no one should know.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think about these folks? Like in this story, encounter, whatever you want to call it earlier, do you think there are folks that legitimately now can speak with animals of the forest or get a vibe or a frequency where they understand, maybe not speaking like we are today, or maybe not even telepathically, but you think that there's an energy, a synchronicity with certain people, with animals? Like a lot of people said they can talk with their dogs, but it's an unwritten speech. Do you guys believe in that?
I don't think it's like you said. I don't think, it's not like it's talking like we are right now, but you have these people that for some reason they relate so well to animals. They're the ones that are making these phenomenal trainers, these dog whisperers, these horse whisperers, they call them, and I think it's for some reason some people can relate. They have that, they exchange that energy or whatever it may be with either all animals or certain animals, because I mean we've heard stories about normally vicious dogs and this one person that they just they're putty in their hands, or even, being out in the forest or out in the woods, and the bear doesn't attack them. They befriend it, and you hear stories like that. So yeah, there's people that can relate better to animals than people. I mean, there just is. I don't know what it is. How they relate to it. I've always related real well with horses and dogs, but
mm-hmm.
I think that's a lot of it is just because the animals can sense intent,
mm-hmm.
and it's just like a horse will know if you're afraid of it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's.
So I think that we're conditioned to think that our thoughts happen in our heads,
right?
But we are energetic beings. I mean, we're not we are not a meat suit. We're the conscious energy inside of the meat suit. Our soul. Where did I go? Oh, there I am. And that's that alone. And if the fabric of the universe is energy, then our thoughts don't just exist in our heads. They radiate out from us like a TV antenna. And I think that's why some people just know what someone else is thinking without knowing how they could know what they're thinking. Like we're both transmitters and receivers, although oftentimes the receiving on a. Am I on, or what's going on? This is.
I don't know. You're getting some sort of on?
Yeah, you're pulling the whole max headroom thing for some reason.
Yeah, you get a little. It was a little
Well-
Bruce Lee action.
But I think you kind of hit the nail on the head as well, Tex, when you're talking about people with dogs. I can't tell you how many times that I've thought something while looking at my dog, and my dog responds as if I said it. And I don't think I'm giving any visual cues. I'm just sitting there and I look over and I think something, and then suddenly the tail starts wagging and it's like going to the door. It's like, oh yeah, okay. And maybe that's more of a conditioned response than I think. But I do think animals, our thoughts are not words, although we think them like words and we speak them as words. But our thoughts are just conscious, emotional, projections to a degree. Maybe not emotional, but they are mental projections that we translate as thoughts and as words, and we receive them as words in our mind as we're getting them. But I think that's why there's such a thing as empathy. And I can't tell you how many times I've just walked into a room and gone, oh, and I zero right in on somebody for no reason that I can make out, but I just know something's wrong. And then I'll talk to them and like, well, how'd you know? It's, I don't know. I don't know how I knew, but I just knew you needed to talk.
Well, and I agree. I mean, there's,
And now Tex went all
is
wonky.
it just him that's breaking up like that?
No, that was
Tex.
we
Now
all
you
three?
are as well. Now you are as well.
what did you say though, Tex? You think, and then you went dead for us. So what
Yeah.
happened? Oh, you did it again.
I was wondering if it was me or all of y'all. I didn't know what happened.
Not that last time.
Y'all froze on my side and I didn't. And
It's the aliens, the alien invasion that we all got through the other day.
Did we? Okay, I didn't even know. I didn't even know we did. But good job, everybody.
Yeah,
Right?
I saw it was all over Facebook.
way to go.
Way to represent, folks. But yeah, I think that certainly communication trans-species is not even. It's got to be happening. I know that animals are really dialed into their owners, whether the owners are recognizing that or not, and it defies language, it defies gestures, just sometimes they're just there and they know, and they can also sense, and we don't know what they're hearing, with their range of hearing going so far beyond ours, and their smell and all their other super senses, but they just, I don't know, they're just so dialed in, and I think there are people that can do that. I think there are people that can communicate with these, because these are consciousnesses. I mean, oftentimes we regard animals as these sub things, they're just in a lot of traditional religious views, animals are just kind of here as fodder for us to do as we will. But I think these are by virtue of being alive, they are part of the divine consciousness. They share that divine consciousness. They don't have the same function as we do, but that doesn't preclude the fact that we're all interwoven together. We're all a part of the same. We're all ideas in the mind of God, for lack of a better term. And by virtue of that, I think we're connected. And certainly I think people can hear that and possibly communicate with that. And I'm envious of that completely. I think that would be amazing to talk to animals.
I think so too, and I think that we all know when our dog wants to go to the bathroom, that in verbal, you just know your animals and things like that. And I can take it a step further. I don't think I'm anything special. I mean, the blondes and the boos, they think I got some sort of abilities like they do about Tex. Because I will tell you this, I can sum up people. I had the innate ability to sum up people and know what they're thinking or their intentions, especially when I owned the bar. I could actually, I didn't need a person's resume because I could knew within a 1 minute conversation if they'd work out or not. And, oftentimes when I used their resume, I ended up firing them. I mean, it was just like, I need to talk to you in person.
Yeah.
And this is a very interesting story. For whatever the reason, years ago, within the last decade, people thought I looked like this guy, Rick Harrison from Pawn Stars. You've all seen Pawn Stars. People argued with me that I was Rick Harrison. And I'm like, dude, I'm not. I was at a Tiger baseball game and I signed autographs as Rick Harrison. I did. I did. I'm like, okay, if you think I'm him, here's my, I don't, you have a Sharpie, yes, I've done it. I must have I've signed Rick Harrison 1,000 times, if not 100 times. And that's not a joke.
There's people trying to eBay those and they're like, this
Oh
is
boy, yeah. So, but I tell him I'm not him. I don't even think I really look like him. So, okay, fine and dandy. But I got to tell you an interesting story about how we can verbally and read people's thoughts. This was 2 Christmases ago, and it was snowing, and I was at the Kroger, and I had my cart loaded up with whatever I was getting for the holidays. And I'm out. It's kind of, as I said, snowing, and there's this lady, this woman. We cross paths as I'm exiting Kroger, and she's coming in Kroger. I look at her, we smile, nod, happy holidays, whatever, Merry Christmas.
Mhm.
And Brent, Tex might have heard this. I stopped, and I had this feeling she thinks I'm Rick Harrison. And and we didn't talk. We just a glancing high smile. I stop, I turn around, and sure enough, Brent, she has stopped looking at me and she's smiling. And for whatever the reason, I said, "Yeah, you want an autograph?" She goes, "Oh my God, Rick, what are you doing in Michigan? I know you live in Vegas." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here to see my parents. They live in Michigan. Would you like an autograph?" I'm just rolling with it. That's what I do, Oh, yes. And so, hang on, can we take a selfie? My husband's not going to believe I've got a celebrity here at Kroger, Rick Harrison.
Yeah, her husband says,
Yeah.
"Hey, freaking Rick Harrison.
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with you?"
And so we can't, it's snowing and I can't really, she can't finagle her phone. I can't. We grab someone else coming up. The lady's like, "Oh my God, this is Rick Harrison. Can you take a picture of me and Rick?" And this woman, another lady, "Oh my God, Rick Harrison, no kidding, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I'll take the picture. Oh my God, yeah, it is you, Rick. I need your autograph too." I signed 2 autographs, took a dozen selfies. I get in my car, and I felt like, boy, somebody's going to see these pictures and say, "That ain't Rick Harrison." But the moral to the story is I knew that.
Yeah.
I just knew and again, I don't think I'm anything special. We all know when people are looking at us, but I just immediately said, "You want my autograph?" "Yes, you're Rick Harrison. I knew it." "Yeah, I'm him." I don't even bother to tell people I'm not him. I just go with the flow, right? So, yeah, so that happened and signed a couple autographs as a person who I'm not. And I've done that many, many times. Many times.
My cousin's well, he was, it was my cousin was married to a guy, and she was much older as a cousin. She was like a great aunt or an aunt, but she was married to a guy who was a doctor, and he was a dead ringer for Johnny Carson. Absolutely looked like Johnny Carson. And right down, I mean, just like you would swear you were right in front of Johnny Carson. Well, they were in Palm Springs. And even Bob Hope came up and sat down and was like, "Wow, what are you doing here, Johnny?" And you'd think Bob Hope would know, but I mean, that's just how close they looked. I used to get confused for John Dye all the time, and he was the angel of death on Touched by an Angel.
Yeah.
In my younger years, we really looked almost identical, and I had people doing that same thing. I never there's only one time that I actually fed into it, and it was just at a KFC in the middle of nowhere, and this woman kept looking over and smiling and pointing like that, and I was like, just eating my chicken. Oh God. And my grandma used to say, "Oh, I'm going home to watch you on TV." She thought that was hilarious. But I was sitting there, and this woman's like, and finally, and she's smirking and looking and talking to her daughter. I met her, she was an older lady, and she was talking to her daughter, and finally they get up and they're leaving. She goes, "I'm sorry to bother you, but I just want you to know I love your show." And all I could do was, it was like, well, rather than go into this lengthy explanation about how this was me, I was like, "Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that." Shook her hand. Not because that was long before the paranormal portal. So
yeah.
Best I get is Charlie Daniels or
yeah.
Jr.
Yeah, you just got to work a fiddle, Tex. You'd be killer.
Do you guys believe in that whole doppelganger thing? Do you think we have our identical?
You know what I noticed? I'm going to jump in here first because I noticed this, but
Okay.
I'm a Minnesota native, as many of you know, but I moved out to North Idaho. Well, the first thing that I noticed when I got out here was that I was seeing people that were almost identical to people from my home community. And then I get to know them a little bit and they behave the same way. So it's almost like there's only a fixed number of faces, I suppose, that nature could generate. And so it's like they get recycled, but they almost have the same personalities too, which I found really fascinating. So,
Oh, that's some Twilight Zone crap right there.
right. Yeah, I know. But I swear to God, I was just like, God, I know who that guy is. I know. And yeah, I think we probably have several doppelgangers, really.
That's a possibility. I'm certainly Rick Harrison, who does not look like me. I will tell you guys this. One of my best friends as a girl, Sandy, she had a birthday party. And now I was sick. I was sick as not as sick as I am today, but just could not move. And I missed her party, right? And so I came by her house a couple weeks later to give her late belated birthday present. And she's like mad at me.
Mhm.
I mean, I could tell I've known her since high school. And I knew she was like, Rob, giving me the bird, basically, type of attitude. She pulls out her phone and shows me, yeah, you were sick. You couldn't go to my birthday party, but here you are at some bar. Because somebody sent her this picture. And I swear, you guys, it was not me, but it looked almost. I tell you what, I had to take a double look at this because this picture, and it was it was a place I had never been in my life that I know. There's only 2 bars I ever went to in my lifetime. It was my own bar and one of the competitors up the road. I don't even know where this was. And you guys, I had to take a double take, and I could not explain myself to her that it wasn't me because it looked just like me in this picture. Well, before the days of photoshopping, the things this was like 10 years ago, right? Before we have all this tech now. And you guys, I'm going to admit to you, I'm not BSing you. It looked like me. I thought it was me, but I knew it wasn't me because I knew I was sick. I knew I wasn't out. I've never been in this establishment. It looked like me.
Wow.
Identical. And I had a hard time. With it because I felt like I was a liar because I couldn't really disprove it wasn't me. I felt so bad. And we spoke. I had to sell myself to her that wasn't me for hours. Then finally she said, yeah, I guess it's not. But till this day, I know she don't believe me, but it was not me in that place.
Wow. Yeah.
I've had people tell me they've seen me in Las Vegas at the playing cards. Not me. And there's a story behind that. We don't have time for that. Text fell off. It's almost close. I'm sick as a dog, Brent.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming up. Thanks to everybody. If you're new, I know it's a lot of newer people in here. Please subscribe to Bigfoot Mr. Rob on YouTube if you're new. Texas Front Porch. Brent Thomas, the Paranormal Portal, if you're new. I see my buddies, the Paranormal Portal out in the house. Nelly and Josh, subscribe to them if you've never heard about them. I'm sporting Josh's gear today. I don't know if you saw that. Nelly, I'm sure, told him. Thanks for that. Thanks for everybody for coming on in. Brent, what do you got coming on? Give us your lineup. When are you on the portal?
Well, I do my live shows every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday night at 7 p.m. and it's more of a paranormal variety show. I just cover a lot of different topics and articles and stuff. But I do release podcasts that's available everywhere. It's a very different type of show, interview based. And those are once a week. Every Monday, I release those. But tonight, now I'll be appearing on Our Paranormal World with Monica Rollins.
Tonight, yes. She's on every Thursday night at, I believe, 10 or 11.
Yeah.
I'm on Tuesday nights at 9. I'm on Thursday afternoons at 1 and Saturday nights at midnight.
Ooh.
Yes, 3 days a week. And I might be expanding into something else that I'm not going to unveil until after the new year. Thank you for the super chat. Actually, thanks, Keith from Michigan. 5 new pirate memberships. Thanks, Keith. I appreciate that. It's always appreciative, not expected, of course, but hey, man, I love it. Love all you guys. Thanks everybody for tuning in, watching the replays. I'm getting close to 5,000 subscribers. Send me over to friends, family, if they like the content. I don't want subscribers just for the hell of it. If you have somebody that likes the content,
Rob, hold on a
help
second.
them out. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Somebody in the chat asked for my link, and probably the best link to learn about the Paranormal Portal and all the different varieties of shows I do. Go to paranormalportal.net. And I'd just like to say hi to Josh Turner. I've never met Josh, but I know he's been in the community for a long time. So
yes, he's a good friend. Love the guy. Cool. He's got a great show.
It's a great show. They do a wonderful show.
So, and really briefly, just before we leave, don't forget, everybody, I'm going to put this out one last time, if I can pull it up. We got our conference coming up, man, everybody. It's coming 10 months, September 19th and 20th. Richmond, Missouri, the Crossing Realms Conference, UFOs, Paranormal, Cryptids. We got a great speaker lineup and some special guests. Doug Hijack, Ken Gerhard, to name a couple. Not speaking, but they're going to be there and helping out with the shows. And Brent Thomas, you've got a table, you got a vendor table over there. You'll be there as well. So thank you to Brent. Shake some hands, tell some stories. I'm looking forward to it.
I might be hitchhiking there, but I'm going to get there. Or rollerblading.
That'd be a long way to go from up there in Idaho. You're in central Idaho or northern?
I'm in the north tip of Idaho, so I'm literally right next to Canada.
By Canada. Yeah. Well, we got some creepy stuff going on up there. We got to talk later about that, for another show or something. But
absolutely. Yeah. I hope you feel better, Rob. I'm sorry you're
under no, it's okay, man. I got to rest up. I got my Lions tonight. We played I tell you what, we're starting our entire defensive line is out.
Oof, that's going to hurt.
And listen, everyone knows I'm a big Lions fan, but even I, as a Lions fan, I'm not feeling good about tonight's game. Thursday night, 8:15, by the way. 8:15 on Thursday Night Football on Amazon, of all places. Yeah, so I'm not feeling good about it, Brent. I'm not feeling good about it, but hey, I'm a diehard. They're finally good. The last 2.5 years, they've been good. Yeah. I can only hope. I can only pray.
Amen, brother.
I gotta go. It's hitting me now. If you're new, subscribe, like button on your way out. I'm getting close to 5,000, everybody. Help me out. I'd like to get that by Christmas. And for TEX, I don't know where the hell TEX vanished to. But for Brent Thomas, Paranormal Reporter, please subscribe. I just got to scroll through here and find my exit button. Scrolling. I got too much stuff in here, man. Gosh, I got so much stuff I got to delete out of here. And you know what? I can't find it. I got to be able to find it, Brent. We can't end the show.
No.
Here we go. We're out. Later.